Hi guys. I'm sure a lot of you are doing December dailies this year. This is actually my first year doing a December daily, which I'm super excited about. I have all sorts of stuff planned for me and my kids this year. This is actually kind of the first year that I've had Christmas off. I've always had jobs like working at the post office where you don't get Christmas off, or other jobs where you just get like Christmas Day and maybe Christmas Eve off. But this is the first year as a stay-at-home mom that I actually get to spend the whole December with my kids. So I've got all sorts of things planned for us. And and then on Sundays, which is the only day that my husband gets off at Christmas time because he does still work for the post office, I've got stuff planned for us as a whole family. So I'm pretty excited to do all sorts of things this December, and then I'll be able to document it all. So here I am just doing my December daily album, getting it prepped and ready to go. This idea was actually something that Mary had seen on Instagram. Somebody had used one of these Target dollar spot binders for their October daily, and just kind of modified it for that. So I decided to do that for my December daily because I had one of these laying around the house and thought that I would use it for this. So the reason I really liked this binder was because of that gold, what was that? The gold spine, I guess, of the binder. At the beginning of the video, you saw the paper pad I flipped through. That's the paper pad that I'll be using throughout my December daily. It's a Paper Studio one. I don't know the title of it, but it's kind of like that. It's got that vintagey feel to it. And it's got the buffalo plaid that I really like. That's kind of the main reason I did it. And the little vintage cars with the trees on the roofs, which I think are adorable. So those are kind of the papers that sold me on it. But I really liked this kind of Nordic snowflake sweater pattern for the front cover. So that's what I decided to use. And I'm just Mod Podging it to the cover. For those of you who aren't super comfortable or familiar with Mod Podge, you just need to use a really thin layer of it. And then I like to use a bone folder to kind of smooth it out to get all of the bubbles out of it. So that's what I did here. So there's the cover, and then I didn't like the pointy corner there, so I kind of just had to fix that a little bit. To make sure that you don't have the pointy corners, the best way to do it is to trim off the corners and then kind of smush them in. I didn't do a very good job of showing you how to do that, but that's kind of what you need to do. So here I am kind of measuring to see how big I need to cut this inside paper, which I decided to go with these little ice skating kids. My husband actually helped me pick out this one. He likes to come into my craft room every once in a while to see what I'm doing, and I made him pick out a paper, and this is the one that he liked best, so that's what went inside. And I just rounded the corners that are be towards the outside of the binder. The inside doesn't really matter because that's just going to go on the inside of the spine there. So I just Mod Podge that down, and then I'll get it in place. And that's kind of the nice thing about Mod Podge or any wet glue, because you could really use any wet glue, is that you can kind of fuss around with it after you've laid it down because it's still kind of wet. If you were to do like a hot glue gun or something like that, second you stick it down, it's going to be stuck. You're going to have to rip it up. So here I am just getting the edges really well, wiping off the excess, and then just rubbing it with the bone folder to make sure that all of the bubbles are out of it. And then here you see me putting clothespins on the edges. I'm super impatient when it comes to crafting. and for waiting for things to dry. So I keep a bunch of clothespins that I just got from like the dollar store. I just keep them on my desk so they're really easy for me to just grab when I'm too impatient to wait for something to dry. So I have a bunch just sitting there, and that's why I clipped them down here. That's why you see them sticking out of my book. This is not a look I'm going for. It's just temporary while I do the other side. The second side, the back side of it, actually turned out a lot better than the front. Not that the front looks bad or anything, but in hindsight, I probably should have done the back side first as practice, and then done the front side afterwards, because I have never done this before. This is just me kind of experimenting and learning as I go. It turned out fine, but I think that I should have done the back first just in case it messed up a little bit. But unfortunately, I used that directional pattern with the ice skating kids, so that had to be the front because I couldn't have them upside down on the back. Well, I mean, I could have, but it would have looked silly to me, so I didn't do that. So same as the first side, just Mod Podging down the edges. There's no rhyme or reason to how much paper to leave for the edges. Again, in hindsight, I probably would have left more, so it would have folded down a lot more and would have been a lot more secure, and I wouldn't have had to cut the inside paper as big. Not that that really matters, but if I was to do it again, that's what I would have done. Even this second side, I did cut more paper than I did the first side. But if I would have done it again, I would have cut even more. I would have left at least a 2-inch edge on there to fold over. And then if you see on this paper with the little ice skaters, there's little edges on the spine that I did, which didn't really work out. I mean, it looks fine there, but it took me a lot of fussing with to get it actually how I wanted it. I just cut all of that out of the video so you guys didn't have to see it. But it didn't really work out, so I don't recommend doing that. I recommend just cutting a straight line and then doing something else with your to cover up the interior color, because I didn't want that teal. That's why I cut it that way. I really just didn't want that teal color to show, but I ended up doing something completely different than what you see there. So it is what it is, and it was a learning process, but there you have it. So here I'm bringing out kind of all of my little pieces of ephemera. I've got these frames. These are from My Mind's Eye. I had bought, when they had their warehouse sale, they did a couple things online. They had like these grab bags, and I bought both of them. And this is kind of a lot of, because they had a Christmas one and then just kind of a regular one. And I got the Christmas one and the regular one. And this is all the stuff that came with the Christmas one, and a lot of it matched with this paper pad that I got, so I was super excited. And so a lot of that is in my December daily kit for this year. If you guys want to see a video of my December daily kit, I can do that too. Just let me know in the comments below, and I can film that so you can see all of the bits and pieces that I have to use for this kit. So I'm just kind of pulling out other bits of ephemera. Like I said, I had ephemera, some frames, these journaling cards. Those are all from My Mind's Eye, and I don't end up using any of those for my cover. But I was just kind of fussing and seeing what I wanted to use and what I liked. And I really didn't like any of it on the cover. I don't think any of it was big enough for me. I think I wanted something a little bit more substantial. So I gave up for the night and decided to come back the next day and try something a little different. So I went on my Cricut, and I had cut a bunch of stuff out on my Cricut. And one of the things that I cut out was that December, and then I have a 2006 that I cut out as well. So I just found a font that I liked online. I downloaded it, typed up December 2016 in my Cricut, and then cut it out. These frames that you see here are actually came with the kit that goes with this paper pad. So they have scrapbooking kits at Hobby Lobby, and this scrapbooking kit came with a few papers that are same papers as what's in that paper pad, and then some frames and some ephemera pieces with some tags and stuff. So I'm just kind of picking which ones I like best. I really liked this black frame because there's a lot of black in the collection, but I wanted to bring that in on the cover. I tried to go with a couple pattern papers underneath, but it just ended up looking too busy. So I tried the cream because there's kind of that, the snowflakes aren't really a true white on there, but most of the collection is a true white, so I thought it would be best to kind of bring that to the cover as well. So that's why I went with that white and black for this front part. So here I'm trying to look at what placement I like best, and then I decide where I want my December to go on there. Here's the 2016 I cut out, and then I really, like I said earlier, I love these little cars with the tree on the top, and it's kind of repeated throughout the collection and in some of the pieces of the My Mind's Eye collection. There's little pieces like this too. So this is the biggest piece of that, and so I thought it'd be fun to kind of put that on the cover as well. So that goes right on the cover there. I use a couple tags to kind of layer in back. Here I am just gluing on the December 2016 part, and I just used regular Elmer's glue to glue that on. And I don't end up using the entire tags because I figure I could probably use those pieces, the other pieces that you don't see. I could use them for layering throughout my album later, so I wanted to save those and not use them all here. I might end up tying some ribbon to the tags. I haven't decided yet. I know there's a couple scrapbookers that will not put a tag on a layout without putting any sort of string through it, but I haven't decided if I'm one of those scrapbookers yet. So we'll see. We'll see if I end up putting any string through it. So there I am, just, God, that seemed like that took forever to place that. Anyways, so there's my tags. Cutting them off right there. Save some of those for later. And just making sure that my letters are all pressed down. And figuring out the placement here. And I think I'm just peeling up the car because I didn't like where that was placed there. So I'm just going to stick this down here. And then I think I ended up picking that up and moving it again because of where the tags were. But got my car placed down, and then here I go with my tags, and I didn't like that it was placed over the hole reinforcer part of it, so I just moved it so it wasn't over that, and then placed that one up top, and that is it. So thanks for watching, you guys. Here's some pictures of the album, and I'll see you later. Bye.